And you want to hit Karl's intro, and let's
It's
do it.
showtime.
WATP.
WATP. I've been psyched all week just thinking about the next possible clips we could have of Woke Dad, who's really become my favorite liar on the internet.
Oh, he is unbelievable, and I found some great TikToks just in the last couple of days that he's put out for us.
Is he responded to? Does he know? He knows you're out there. Is he still responding to you, or do you think he's affected by you and Mike on Who Are These Socials?
Well, he claims that he's never watched us, and what he's doing now, and I see a lot of these creators doing this, where he's responding to specific comments that are coming in. I think that for a long time, everyone was agreeing with him in his chat. And so now that we've kind of shown the flashlight on him a little bit, he's getting some people who have some different views. And so now he's responding to them one at a time in TikTok videos.
That's always a good idea.
It's the worst idea.
Does he keep getting more followers?
Yeah, I think he continues to grow for sure.
Is that the trans community or LGBTQ?
Well, I'm sure that he goes in and deletes the comments that are negative, because when you go onto any of his TikToks, every single person is like, "You are so right. We need more people like you. You make the world a better place." They're insane, these people.
Well, you guys and Mike especially seems to find these shows just under a rock somewhere, and I'm always amazed. Like, how did they find such an insane show that no one watches? I had no idea this guy actually had a big following.
Yeah, well, he does. In fact, if you want to start there, I have a TikTok on here. He put out a video, and he asked the viewers to write into him, "I want my kid, when he grows up, to be him or her, to be blank." And so now he's responding to what he got from that. He says that the video was viewed millions of times, and he got a ton of submissions for this.
Why?
You know, I asked a question a while back, and I got tens of thousands of answers in response. Million plus people saw the video. And it wasn't until I just started to dig into what I found within the content of that video that I started to wonder. Now, the video was pretty simple. How would you complete this sentence? You know what I want my kids to be when they grow up?
Trans.
I want my kids to be fill in the blank. The response I was looking for was some level of happy, because that's what we should all want as parents.
Content.
Our kids are their own unique selves, and we should want them to be some level of happy. That's what I was looking for in a world. It's a world of hope, when you can want your kids to be happy, no matter who they are. But so many people said better than me. I mean, that's a realistic answer as a parent, to want your kids to be better than you, to want your kids to strive for more, to be more successful, to have more opportunities in this world. But when I started to look into the people who had made these comments more often than not, they had conservative content. If you want your kids to be better than you, why don't you start by showing them how to be better?
That fucking face is so punchable.
That is so thoughtful.
Hey, put a dick in your mouth and shut up.
So, Drew, I'm glad that you reacted the way that you did, because I was wondering, he's digging into these profiles to figure out their political slant. Do you think this is done scientifically? Do you think that he's getting the data back correctly on this?
Oh, like how they voted?
I would really question in the methodology that that he uses to come to this conclusion. But isn't he basically saying that conservative people are shitty and they want the wrong thing for their kids, and liberal people are really right? They just want them to be happy.
Correct. Yes. The conservatives are the bad guys. And so it's very easy to have your kids be better than you. Just have them not be conservative, and then they win.
Yeah, so just be liberal and everything will fix itself. But very thoughtful. I mean, nobody's ever really asked that question before, so I really was quite amazed by this.
There's a correct answer to that. It's so funny. It's like, what do you want for your kids when they get older? There's a correct answer. Who knew?
What's your opinion? There's only one right answer.
Thanks for the test.
Yeah.
Oh, he's getting more fake, I feel like.
I love how he does this with his fingers, like when he's really trying to make a point, like he's this quasi pointing at you. It's, ugh. I don't think so.
Now,
Is he running
if
out of
you,
fake? Is he running out of fake stories and interactions? Because I like those.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back into that. He's telling this story, and we've covered it on Who Are These Socials. He's been telling it for a couple of years now. He went into a Walmart bathroom. He was wearing a shirt that said something about trans people. And some guy grabbed him while he's at the urinal, grabbed him, was like, "You got to get out of here, buddy," and started pushing him out of the Walmart bathroom. So this next clip is him bringing this up yet again.
Oh boy.
Other man in the men's restroom while I was standing at the urinal. He assaulted me because I was wearing an Ask Me How to Protect Trans Kids t-shirt.
Didn't
And because I was wearing that, he was positive that I was a member of the trans community. You see, the thing is, though, that I'm a cis straight man, and a pretty big one at that. I'm 6'1", 215 pounds. I've spent most of my life working in physical labor jobs, so I'm pretty strong. And he could barely move me. Even though he was screaming at the top of his lungs, "You're a woman, I know you're a woman." I got assaulted in a bathroom over a t-shirt that said, "Ask Me How to Protect Trans Kids." A t-shirt that I made front and back to help promote a Senate bill in the state of New York, S2475. And you can look it up if you'd like. We got that bill passed into law last year. Proves a few things, right? You don't have to be a member of a community to stand up. You don't. And also it proves that even if someone like me, a cis straight man, isn't safe from other men in a men's restroom, how's anybody else supposed to know who's safe? Who's dangerous? If I can't tell who's safe, you wonder why they picked the bear.
You're a woman! You're a woman! Did they really scream at the top of their lungs?
Get out of here,
Such
bitch!
bullshit.
Oh, God.
So the question that was on the screen said, would you have preferred a bear in the bathroom? So he was responding to that because he's been telling the story for a while. And he goes on to say, men are not safe from other men in the bathroom. Yeah, that's why people don't want their daughters in a restroom with men. Do you not understand? You're making the point for them. Anyone can put on a dress and go into a ladies' room. They might even be cis straight men putting on that dress and going into the ladies'. That's the whole fucking point, dummy.
I found it kind of funny that he's really, I've heard him do this a couple times. He's implying that he's kind of a badass. Like, hey, don't fuck with me. I'm 6'1", 215. Ooh.
I like that the guy was convinced that because of his t-shirt, he was a woman, but he's 6'1", 215. I don't see a lot of women
And he has a
with
beard.
that build.
And he has a beard.
Well, yeah, that too, but.
You're one of those.
He's getting worse, I swear.
So now the next two TikToks I'm going to show you are him making response videos to that video.
Okay.
All right, so now people are commenting on that video. And so this next one says, okay, if I were in the woods and I saw a guy with that tee, I wouldn't be as scared, but bears are bears shirtless and all. So now he's responding to that comment.
Why are you responding?
I would rather that every single woman in my life assume that all men are the problem, including myself, and all men put them at risk, including myself, than have the women in my life make the wrong assumption one time. That being said, the way that I change that narrative in the eyes of each individual is through my actions. And my actions alone are what speak for what makes me safe. One way that I spark that conversation is like this. By sharing my beliefs openly, I give people room to trust what I'm saying is true. By showing that I live a life where I love my kids unconditionally, I show that I live up to my promises. By standing up to injustice, I show that I truly care. By standing up for communities, even communities I don't belong to, I show that I'm better than my demographic. And by standing up for what's right, even if it puts me in the line of fire, I show my conviction, my understanding for a need for kindness, and my caring about other people. Misogyny is a tool that's been used for millennia, and it's helped to divide us. It's helped to keep us subservient. All of us, including the men of this world. It's time to put it down.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Kiss my ass and suck my dick.
Isn't bragging constantly about how much you love your kids almost more than anyone else? Isn't it kind of like bragging how many times you've gotten laid? I mean, you almost wonder, does he really love his kids more than anyone else? Why does he have to say it all the time?
Yeah, the bragging nonstop tells me that he's suffering from some form of narcissism, which is rich because there's a video I didn't pull where he talks about how if you're co-parenting with a narcissist, how difficult that can be, which is crazy because obviously he's the narcissist in this relationship. But he also said in that clip that we just played that he's better than his demographic. So for the most part, and I think I can speak for all of us that are talking right now, you know, us straight men, white
Cis.
men are horrible. We're
Yeah,
the worst. We're the worst people in the world.
And we're all the same.
We're all the same, right? let's forget that there's millions and millions. It's everyone's the same, except for this guy. This is the one. Daniel Alexander's the one. That's actually a good one. Good for him. Amazing.
He's a big braggart too. I mean, how can you constantly brag about how wonderful you are and not be considered a braggart? I don't care what you're bragging about. Just because he's virtue signaling, it's the same thing. He's always saying, "Look at how wonderful I am." Doesn't he? I mean, he has no self-awareness to realize how that comes off when you do it that much.
It's worse than that too, because not only is he bragging about himself, he's putting everyone else down. You know,
Yeah.
Dr. Phil does the same thing, where if you watch his show or you listen to him, he's like, "We're the good ones. We get it." But you know, your wife or your husband, they don't know what's going on. They're idiots. It's like he's doing the same thing. We're just like, yeah, everyone else sucks. I'm amazing. Like, what's the everyone else sucks part of this? Why do you have to do that?
I think he would crush Dr. Phil if we could actually measure his ego. I think he'd crush Phil.
Yeah.
I really do.
I think you're right about that. All right, so the next video is more about how cis straight white men are the problem.
If you get attacked by a bear, no one asks what you are wearing. If you get attacked by a bear, no one asks if you said no. If you get attacked by a bear, no one asks if you've been drinking. If you get attacked by a bear, no one asks if you did something to encourage the bear to attack you to begin with. If you get attacked by a bear, no one asks if you liked it. If you get attacked by a bear, no one asks if you fought back or not. If you get attacked by a bear, no one asks why you would be alone with them. If you get attacked by a bear, no one asks why you would go out by yourself at night. If you get attacked by a bear,
Get it!
no one's forcing you to have that bear's baby. In some states, they are. Changing the narrative to suit your own needs doesn't change anything.
Well, that's what you're doing.
People who are putting people at risk are cis straight men. And as a cis straight man, I would rather my family, my loved ones, everyone that I know, be cautious around people within my demographic than have them fall victim even once. End of story. It's all men until it's no man.
Oh, that's
So I guess trans people and gay people, they never murder anyone. They
No.
never do anything bad.
No.
Women never.
Also, women have never committed a crime or done anything wrong. It's
They
amazing.
never manipulate or cheat on their husband or anything like that.
So if somebody was attacked by a bear, I'd probably go, well, that bear's just being a bear. So I guess we're just being cis white men. I guess it's just our nature. What a joke.
Yeah, were you feeding the bear? Were you teasing the bear?
I think people ask all those questions if you're attacked by a bear. Were you teasing
They
it?
do. They'll want to know what happened. What happened before
Well,
that?
It's a weird straw man argument he's having because I don't think he's understanding the bear comparison thing at all. He's making a whole series of videos
Yeah.
talking about this. It's insane. None of it makes any sense. But the point is, at least from what I'm gathering, and maybe I'm understanding the deep nuance of it, the point is that men are scary. I'm sorry, not men. Cis straight men.
Cis straight men.
Cis straight men are the scariest things on earth, and they should be avoided at all costs.
Wasn't, the interactions, though, he always bragged about, I have so many interactions. And he would tell these ridiculous stories, where he's carried out of the coffee shop or whatever by all his adoring fans because he's so wonderful. And then when you started questioning that, it seems to me, at least these clips, are the interactions starting to dwindle now? We're not getting so many of those?
I think we called him out because he did a whole response video. We're just like, look, I talk to thousands of people every day. I own a coffee shop. I'm constantly in these conversations. This is all real. I swear to God, this is what happens to me. So I think that now he's resorted to telling off the haters one at a time, which is a terrible strategy.
Ooh.
If you want, he thinks, and this is why he's a narcissist. He thinks he's going to convince someone who's on TikTok going, that never happened. You're a liar. And he's going to be like, oh, you don't think it ever happened? Well, guess what? It did. It's like, you can't do this. It's never going to end.
Well, he would film one just to prove it. But, I mean, the idea that you're in retail and at least twice or maybe 3 times a week, somebody comes to tears over your conversation with somebody in the retail or coffee selling business is ridiculous.
Or,
obviously.
Drew, one of my favorite stories he told is that he had like a pride flag sticker on the window of his mobile coffee shop. So the guy took the hot coffee and chucked it at him through the window.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
That happens all the time. Someone sees something they don't like in central New York and they assault someone.
No, it makes
so
no
stupid.
sense.
No, I know. It's all so stupid. But everyone who doesn't think the same way he does is a bigot and a problem. And I have one more video to play for you because he's talking about freedom of speech, but not really. What he's telling is a one-sided argument, and I'd love to get the other person's perspective on this.
Why are those who are so adamant about freedom of speech so ignorant about consequences for your actions? There's a guy here locally who's running for school board, local school board, and man, is he ever running on some bad ideas. He's openly used the terms woke mind virus and indoctrination out of context without understanding what woke or indoctrination mean. It's easy. You look in a dictionary. There are definitions, and then you understand those terms, and you don't just use them as hot button terms. Well, I just found out that the reason that he's actually running is because he's upset with educators and staff because when his kids were in school, they couldn't just say whatever they wanted to. When they said racist, homophobic, or transphobic things, they got in trouble. When they called other people names, they got in trouble. And he doesn't like that. Freedom of speech, my ass. He just doesn't understand consequences. That being said, this is just a reminder that those local elections are just as important, if not more important, than the presidential election because they dictate what happens in your community and to your kids. Go vote.
Vote or die.
So there's a guy running for school board who wants children to be able to bully each other.
Yeah.
Is what he just said. He's just like, yeah, this guy, the reason why he's doing this and volunteering his time, he just doesn't think there's enough bullies in school right now.
It's a pretty thin premise for a campaign, I would say.
I don't think you're going to get a lot of votes.
My
running on
kids
that.
say homophobic, racist things, and they get punished. That's my campaign.
I want my
More.
son to be able to go to school and call every other kid a queer. What's wrong with that? Vote for me.
It makes me want to look up his area to find out what the real story is.
I'm guessing the other guy would disagree with what he just said, with the way that he's painting this.
And woke mind virus is not the same thing as looking up woke in the definition. There is an
know.
extreme.
Well, also, everything's out of context right now. He's using words like this and that, and look it up. Look up what those words mean. It's like, no, we know what those words mean. What do you mean? What do you mean he's using it out of context? You're not supplying any type of example. We don't know what you're talking about.
I swear, I really want to go into his coffee shop and come to tears somehow to give him another story to get the interactions going again.
You know what you should do? Oh my gosh, I've mentioned this. It's less than a 2-hour drive from where I live, where this guy's mobile coffee shop is. I should really go there and just go, listen, I had to come here. I don't care if the coffee's good or not. It doesn't matter to me. I've just been watching your TikToks, and I used to be a racist. And I no longer am because of your videos. You've shown me the light. I just want to thank you, and I get all teary.
Oh boy! So the videos haven't slowed down, just the interactions. He's still self-righteous as ever. Okay.
Oh, he's putting out more videos now because he's reacting to every comment he doesn't like.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he's cranking them out right now.
Keeping it coming. That's okay. All right. Is that the last? Is that the last woke dad?
That's enough Daniel Alexander for now, I think.
Okay. I watched some Unfrosted because I knew you were going to talk about it, and I'm just perplexed. I watched 35 minutes. I never laughed. I saw a lot of big names: Amy Schumer, Jim Gaffigan, Jerry Seinfeld. But I don't know Karl. What's happening? I didn't see the whole movie.
Okay. So the reason why we're going to talk Unfrosted is because Jerry Seinfeld was recently on Club Random with Bill Maher. And he's been out promoting this. So I have some clips of that we're going to talk about. I watched Unfrosted because I was so intrigued by how everyone's saying this is such a garbage movie. And I love Jerry Seinfeld. And the cast is nuts. I mean, you're talking about Bill Burr, Christian Slater, John Hamm, Peter Dinklage,
Hugh Grant.
Jack McBrayer, Beck Bennett, like almost every single person from Saturday Night Live ever is in this movie. There's so many great people, and you got to think like, oh, this is going to be fantastic. All these comedians who know how to make a comedy movie, and it's the worst thing I've ever seen. To the point, and I like bad movies. Like I've watched The Room, you know, Tommy Wiseau.
Oh yeah, loved it.
Probably 5 dozen times. I can't get enough of that movie. This movie, I told Drew this. I said, I'm glad I watched it once. I'll never watch it again.
By the way,
It's not even fun bad.
the movie that was based on The Room, the one with what's his name? He got kind of canceled. James.
Yeah, the disaster
Franco.
artist, right? Yeah.
I love that movie. I thought
I
it was
read that book. Yeah, it's great.
I thought it was fantastic. But yeah, the original Room is really fun too. This is not. That's kind of what I thought. Is this movie going to be so corny that I actually find it funny? But I just didn't get anything. I thought it's so dry. I just don't feel anything watching this movie except that my time is being wasted.
All right, here's what it reminded me of. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band from 1978. Because it has a similar vibe where you're like, oh my gosh, you got this person and that person. How could this miss? You got the music of the Beatles. Like, how could this possibly miss? And it misses by 1.5 miles.
Yeah, with Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees and everybody that was hot at that time. Aerosmith was in it, and yeah, it's completely
Alice
bombed.
Cooper was in it. Steve Martin was in it. George Burns. I mean, so many cameos. It's like, how can you miss? Frankie Valli. How could you possibly miss? And it's terrible. And I feel the same way about Unfrosted. There's a couple things that I wanted to point out about it. Hopefully people have seen the movie. If you haven't, the only reason why I kept hearing people say how bad it was, I'm like, I have to see how bad it is for myself.
Well, plus, I don't feel like Jerry Seinfeld. I thought he can't put out a really, really bad movie. There's no way. Jerry's too funny.
So it's a story about the making of Pop-Tarts by Kellogg's, and it's the story where Post and Kellogg's are competing with each other in the breakfast cereal world in 1963. And it seems like it's the movie Barbie for comedy fans. I got the sense that, you know, Barbie was very popular for some reason. I watched that movie. I didn't get it. It's not for me. But it's so cartoonish and dumb. It's like childish. The way that they portray the CEO of a company or the board of a company and what a business meeting would be. It's not for me. I don't get it. It's not funny. It's not realistic. It's stupid. And this had a lot of the similar kind of vibe to it. The other thing that was odd about this movie, and actually my wife brought this up when we were watching it. So it's 1963 corporate America. The diversity is distracting.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. Yeah.
like when the reporters are all asking all the questions, there's like this black woman who's like the reporter who's asking these questions. I'm like, I don't think that's. I mean, the movie starts off with an Asian kid who ran away from home.
That's right. Yeah.
His Asian parents show up to find him at the end. It's like, wait a second, what's going? This is not 1963 America, I don't think. But they had to like shoehorn in all of that stuff, and it was so stupid. Of course. The other thing is the mascots, the stupid cereal mascots, actually work at Kellogg's and they punch the clock every day and they're dressed up like Snap, Crackle, and Pop. Who is this for? It's for anyway. So I wanted to play some clips here because Jerry is promoting this, and if you want to start my clip number 9, Jerry makes this comment that kind of leads into him, and this is about 50 minutes into the show, but this kind of leads into him promoting the movie.
The other day, because I'm going through this thing with the movie, you know, and you're doing a lot of press, and they're watching the movie and they're responding to it, you know. And hit me the other morning, an insincere compliment is absolutely of equal value as a totally genuine compliment. There is no difference in value. They're both utterly meaningless and just as nice. An insincere compliment is just as nice. I don't care if they're lying to my face. It doesn't matter what they think anyway.
So it sounds to me like he's not going to mind Bill Maher's insincere compliments because Bill is going to say he likes the movie, right?
Well, Bill hasn't seen it yet at this point. It hasn't come out yet.
Oh, that's the safe way to go into the interview for sure.
Yes, for sure. But doesn't it sound like Jerry's had a lot of insincere compliments on his current media run?
Yeah.
Well, does he mean people who are pretending they like it or people making jokes or
both, I would think, right?
I think it's people pretending they like it because, listen, if you guys got Jerry Seinfeld to come on the Drew Lane show, you're going to compliment the movie.
Yeah, you're not going to trash
Jerry
it.
Seinfeld here. Let's do
No,
it.
you want to get a good interview.
Of course. So I think he's getting a lot of insincere compliments right now. So Then he gets into some of the things about the movie. My clip number 10, he's talking about a promotional video he made. I'm not sure why this is funny.
We made a couple of little video promotion pieces for the movie, and one is where I'm called into the office of the president of Pop-Tarts. Oh. So I needed a name for who would be the president of Pop-Tarts, and we came up with Kelman P. Gasworth. He says, I'm Kelman P. Gasworth, the president of Pop-Tarts. And I'm sitting at the end of this long conference table, and I go, oh, I just made a whole movie about Pop-Tarts. He goes, well, did you now?
I can't wait to see this movie.
It's fun.
It comes out on Netflix.
Friday.
Oh, boy.
What did I miss there? Does that equal something else? That's something if you paged at the airport, people would laugh?
Drew, I took a risk there because I'm like, maybe I don't get it, and these guys are going to tell me I'm an idiot. But I'm like, but I don't get it, so I'm going to pull this clip and see if I miss something. And Bill Maher's laughing along with that.
Laughing along, he had a spit take.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh my God! All right.
You know, I just want to go back to insincere compliments. If I thought I was getting insincere compliments on a media tour, I would want to stop the tour. I wouldn't want to sit and listen to people lie to me. That would be horrible.
Well, Jerry's got an interesting take on life these days, and I find Jerry fascinating. I love him.
Yeah,
and
I do too.
His take on life is, who cares? Yeah. Like they get into these long conversations. I might have an example or two coming up, but he gets into these conversations where it's like, well, could you imagine what it'd be like if Johnny Carson was in this day and age where everyone has a podcast and everyone's doing a show and there's 4 million shows competing with? And Jerry goes, yeah, but that didn't happen, so who cares? Why are we talking about it? I was like, yeah, that's kind of fun. I like that approach to life.
It's a lot like Larry David's approach to life.
Yes,
like, none of it matters.
None of it matters. Who cares? All right, so I love this because, as we just said, Bill Maher hasn't seen the movie yet. So Bill Maher's trying to wrap his head around, why did Jerry Seinfeld make a movie about Pop-Tarts? And so clip number 11, he tries to figure this out.
But what is the metaphor? I mean, plainly, it can't just be about Pop-Tart.
Oh, my gosh, no. No, it's quite a deep story, Bill.
But it has to be a metaphor for something.
You got me.
Really?
Yeah. What?
Yeah. It doesn't have to have a metaphor. It's just a silly, stupid movie.
Well, props to Bill Maher for thinking that there's like some deeper thing going on here, because it's not. Because it's what you see is what you get.
The premise is pretty stupid. I mean, you're starting with a really stupid present.
It's so stupid. It takes you out of it immediately. The way that this movie even starts, you're just like, oh, this is dumb.
I listened to that interview Jerry did with the New Yorker magazine podcast, and his idea is you take something that's serious and then you have something funny in it, like laughing at a funeral, basically, kind of the concept. The problem is the concept of the Pop-Tart battle is silly to begin with, and now you're just putting jokes on it. It just makes it corny, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no, it's not like laughing at a funeral. You have the Quaker Oats guy is actually an actual guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's so stupid.
Yeah, the premise alone, it's hard to be funny when the premise is so just singularly stupid and silly.
I just couldn't buy into any of it. You know, when they had the awards ceremony, I was like, this is ridiculous. They didn't do this, did they? I mean, it wasn't funny. It just didn't go anywhere at all.
All right, so clip number 12, we're going to find out why Jerry made this movie. Now, Jerry directed this movie. He was one of the writers. He stars in it. Why did he make this movie?
It really is about a childhood fantasy and wanting to hang on to your childhood and that time and that product. And to make this movie, I get to go back there. I get to go back to when the only thing I cared about was the Stingray and my cereal and the TV shows that I liked. And that was you know, it was like a little soap bubble of that I got to get inside for a few weeks.
I'm trying to think of when Jerry Seinfeld has failed this magnificently. That's never happened before, has it?
No, definitely not. And they talk about that a lot in this interview because Bill Maher came up with Jerry. They've been friends since 1979. They talk about that a lot. And so Jerry was always the best stand-up comic of the group.
Absolutely.
And then he went on to have the best sitcom of all time. And then you look at Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, it kind of changed the way that we look at interview style shows. Like everything he's done has been fantastic.
But he's never done movies.
Well, you're right. He's never directed or written movies, correct?
Well, what has he been in movies? I can't even think
No,
of.
in that one interview I heard, he basically said that, I can't deliver lines that I didn't write. He knows he's not a good actor, so he has to write, I guess.
He was in the B movie, which is just,
but he wrote, I think he wrote that too, though, so.
He might have.
Yeah.
But what's crazy, though, is that, so Bill Maher's like, so why did you make a movie about Pop-Tarts? It was completely self-indulgent.
Yeah, 100%.
In every single way. He's
Yeah.
like, I just wanted to take a trip down memory lane.
I'm Jerry
Things were
Seinfeld and I'm
simple.
rich and I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. So clip number 14, he's still trying to justify why this movie was made here.
It's a silly idea for a movie, and the jokes are silly. But as we know, there are no silly jokes. They're either good or they're not. And you'll find there's a level of sophistication in the silliness. That is my ultimate. When I first saw Monty Python when I was a kid on PBS in the early 70s, I lost my mind.
I did too.
So he thinks that he's creating something on the level of Monty Python.
Oh, boy.
Swing and a miss. Not even close.
No, the jokes aren't funny. And all I can think of is that Jerry has so wildly succeeded at everything he's done that he's just arrogant as hell. And he just thinks everything he does is great. How could he put this out? How could he do this interview circuit and think that, well, everybody's got to love this movie? How could he possibly think that?
I also get the sense, because we were talking about the cast. And if you guys remember, Anchorman 2 was the worst comedy to ever be made outside of Unfrosted. And I think what happens is everyone's up their own asses so much, they're looking around the room, they're like, holy shit, we have all these stars here. We can't go wrong with this. We're going to crush it. And then nobody is doing quality control. They're just going, well, this has to be good. Look at everyone who's here. It's amazing.
You know, what was the Ben Stiller movie with Blue Steel and
Zoolander.
Zoolander 2 was also horrible and had a million cameos. It was terrible.
Right. Yeah, these movies get up their own ass.
Yeah.
Like, well, we can't mess.
Caddyshack 2.
The first Anchorman was so great. You're like, well, the second one has to be decent. Nope, not even close.
I heard they're making another one possibly. Did you guys hear that?
Anchorman?
Yeah, another Anchorman.
He's still doing the character. He still goes around doing that character. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised. It would be a good character. That podcast sucked. All right, fast forward. The next guest that Bill Maher has on is Bill Burr.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Bill Burr is in this movie.
Yes, I would keep telling Drew, I said, that's the only part I laughed at, is him playing JFK.
Okay,
in
so
The
let's
Women.
talk about that. My clip number 16, Bill Maher's going to compliment him on his role.
Okay.
Oh, Bill's seen it now.
Yes.
What do you defend? By the way, you were very good as Jack Kennedy in the Seinfeld movie.
Oh, thank you.
That was perfect.
I had a great. Wasn't that a
perfect
great
casting.
movie?
So good.
I loved it.
And you know what? I have to say, and Jerry was here just a few days ago. I heard terrible things about it.
Yeah, so you see how Bill Burr has to immediately signal, hey, wasn't it great? Wasn't it great? Huh?
Yeah.
Really funny, right? Really great movie. It's like, I don't think you would say that if you had confidence in it.
By the way, I've seen clips of this interview, and I found myself thinking, these two don't match too well, maybe because they're both so sure of themselves. I don't know what it is. They're
possible.
both so sure they're right about everything.
Which two are you talking about?
Bill Burr and Bill Maher.
Bill Burr and Bill Maher. Okay, not
Yeah,
Jerry
I
and
just
him.
found myself getting a little cringy at times.
No, Jerry and Bill were much better together because they've known each other forever and they have mutual respect. And there's a lot of ball sucking. What's the term?
Ball washing. Yeah.
Ball washing. A lot of that going on. But okay, so now they're going to explain. So the next clip 17 is immediately after that, where Bill Maher goes, it's getting a lot of bad reviews. Now they're going to explain why the movie's actually good and we're all idiots.
Oh,
To be honest, I don't
think
know
younger
why.
people, because I think younger people didn't know some of the references.
I don't think they even saw it yet. I don't know where that came from. And then I watched it. I was like, wow. Not only is the concept so genius, the juxtaposition of the most trivial thing in the world, breakfast cereal, with all that stuff that was going on in the 60s, NASA and the Cold War, all the...
But what's funny is the battle that Kellogg's and Post, it's the same battle that people are fighting with the Army. I loved all of that. I also loved when they went to the grocery store, when Post and Kellogg's are racing to get their Pop-Tarts there. Did you notice one truck was a Ford, one was a Chevy?
No, I did not know.
Like, there was a lot of, little things in there.
Oh, there were. But what's funny is treating it as if it was the end of the world, the space.
Yes.
That's what was funny. And Khrushchev, that it was important to the Cuba, the Cold War, El Sucre, all that stuff. And the pacing, for a first-time director, I thought, I love that about it, that it just moved. You know,
Comedians make good directors, though.
But it wasn't funny.
Do comedians make good directors?
Well, then Bill Burr shoehorns into the movie that he directed. So
oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I heard that. He goes on to say that the Dad movie was great,
and he was in Breaking Bad when Odenkirk directed some episodes of those.
That's true.
Did you like the movie?
Binder directed Bill Burr too. So
what's his movie about dads on Netflix? Did you see it, Carl?
I have not.
Yeah, I saw it. I can't remember what it is. It's okay.
I thought it was okay. I think
it's more edgy than what you'll find on a lot of things, but yeah.
I expected more. I mean, there were a lot of jokes about sort of woke society and how annoying it is for middle-aged dads, but I just didn't think it was enough to carry the movie.
Kind of the F is for Family, that cartoon he was doing on Netflix for a while. I didn't care about that either because it was the same kind of commentary. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Just make a funny cartoon.
Yeah, but like when Bill Burr is implying that this is a great movie and somehow you didn't get it if you don't agree, I start wondering about Bill Burr.
Yeah, well, and I was listening to Blind Mike talk about this on his show, The Blind Mike Project, and they played that same clip, which is why I got really intrigued with this movie. I'm like, what is going on with this? Bill Burr's in it, says it's great. Bill Maher's agreeing. Everyone else says it sucks. And the fact that Bill Burr brings up, did you notice how the two trucks were Ford and Chevy? Like, if you did, does that make the movie good? Does that make it funny? Do you go, oh my gosh, but that's also competing companies?
No, it means nothing. And I think when you're complimenting a movie about the pace, I think you're starting to reach. I mean, pace is great, but it's not. If the jokes aren't funny, who gives a fuck about the pace?
I've said this many times, but Drew, you know, in my band, I'm constantly playing with other bands, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. And when I see a band that's not very good, I'll compliment them on their guitar tone or the mix, you know, like things. I'm like, yeah, no, the mix was great. We can hear everything out here. It's fantastic.
Oh boy, yeah, it's really awkward to be put in the position of having to say you don't hate something you hate, or that something that is bad is good. And I feel like all these people are being put in that position, and it just creates total awkwardness.
Wouldn't it be a great like Andy Kaufman type thing if Seinfeld came out and go, I purposely made a bad movie, and you guys just totally fell for it?
Yeah,
like, that was my whole plan all along, and had some kind of proof that really was it.
Some of you gave it 4 stars.
Can you imagine if he
that would be hilarious?
Yeah. You know what I'm interested in? I want to know 30 years from now, are people talking about this movie still the way that I just brought up Sgt. Pepper's?
For being bad?
For being so bad with an amazing cast that should have been great, if not mediocre.
Mark, did you check the Rotten Tomatoes for this?
I did. They're not good. It's been a while since I've checked them, but give me a second.
It's got to be terrible. And to say, it's kids don't get the references. What?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot about that. So all of us got all of the references, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
Mark, you saw the movie.
Sure.
Drew saw the first 30 minutes. We know what all of these references are. It doesn't make it funny.
No.
Do you care to guess what the thermometer said?
I'm gonna guess 22 for the audience.
Oh, you're off, man. 52 from the audience, 44 from critics. So even critics aren't just saying it's good because of Jerry.
44 and 52 is better than, but I've only seen 35 minutes, so maybe there's something coming.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't get better. It doesn't get funny. The only good part of the movie, in my opinion, are the 2 dumpster kids. They actually are pretty good in it. They're good actors. They have some funny lines. Although they have the cheesiest line ever, where they jump into the Rice Krispies and they marshmallows in there. And they're mixing it together, and the person goes, "Oh, what are you mixing marshmallows with Rice Krispies?" He goes, "Yeah, it's a treat."
Yeah.
Okay.
I also didn't care for the whole buttocks massage joke when the kid boy was sitting on there.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many jokes that don't land. It's so bad. Melissa McCarthy. Oh my God, could you imagine? There's a movie starring Amy Schumer and Melissa McCarthy, and we haven't even brought that up yet. That's how bad this movie is. Hugh Grant's character is garbage. It's so bad.
Amy Schumer is so annoying. When she popped on the screen, I was just like, ah. And every time she was on the screen, I don't know how many people.
She was the love interest in the movie too. That's what makes it even more hilarious.
Have women turned on Amy Schumer yet, or is she still the hero of the women?
Question.
I don't know any women who like Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
I mean, could she still? What was she was selling out Madison Square Garden at one point, wasn't she?
Yeah, no, she's terrible. Also, Jim Gaffigan, I thought he was wearing a fat suit. he's not looking great anymore. Do you guys
not at all.
About that? And Kyle Dunnigan, who does those amazing deep fake videos, he's in there playing Walter Cronkite.
Oh,
and he has a too. He's fantastic. I love Kyle Dunnigan.
That part was funny. The Walter Cronkite part I thought that was really.
It
funny.
wasn't. It wasn't though.
You
it
didn't
wasn't
like
funny.
it
compared to the rest of the movie.
But he was kind of a deviant.
It was the better part.
You're right. Bar's low.
Yes. I know. I heard you talking about it, Mark, and you're just like, yeah, I didn't think it was going to be very good. So I was like, it's not that bad. It's like, no, it's
bar's
bad.
pretty low. Yeah.
I didn't laugh at anything, and I really started losing my attention span was disappearing. I wasn't paying attention. So, a lot of times when a movie is that slow starting out of the gate, it's hard to recover. And Mark says it doesn't get any better, and you said the same thing, Karl. So I'm kind of giving up on it. But did you have any more clips of Bill?
I do, yeah. Let's get away from Unfrosted, and I just want to point out what a hero I am. My wife wanted to turn off the movie 7 different times. I said, nope, we're watching this whole movie. I want to know what people are talking about. So pat on the back for me. All right, let's go to clip number 1. And what's interesting here is the way this show starts off. So Jerry comes down into the basement, and he starts talking about the fact that, he loves that people are doing these shows like this, because he can't hang out with people unless they're working together. He goes, I don't mind having conversations with comics if we're doing a show together, but I'm not going to just really go get coffee with a friend at any point like he did on his show. So we'll pick up from there.
I completely see the point about, and said it too, about work, but also to, while you are working, do exactly what you would be if you were not working. In other words,
Let's go over that again.
If we were just here and we weren't working, I want this conversation to be zero different.
Oh, that won't happen. That can't happen. Because, yes. I'm a savvy professional. Do you think I don't know that if I say something stupid, it won't...
Okay, I can do it.
No, even you are savvy. You are also
true.
the savviest professional, if I may. What do you weigh right now, Bill? What do you weigh?
So,
He's 100%
I love Jerry
correct.
right there, because everyone likes to pretend that this is just a real conversation we're having. No, there's microphones, there's cameras, there's
It's
hundreds
being
of thousands
recorded.
of watchers.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
and you turn up your brain just that little extra notch to try to be extra funny.
Yeah.
And
I'm
also,
sure-
you can't actually be honest about things. There are probably
No.
people you don't like and things you want to say that you can't say. So Jerry just comes out flat out and goes, well, no, obviously we're doing a show together. This is not a real conversation that we'd have on the phone. And then if you skip to my clip number 7, you actually see an example of this where if this weren't a show, I bet they'd have a lot more to say, and they changed the subject very quickly.
I feel like a late night host is always a reflection of the society that we live in, better than a lot of other signposts. I mean, that's why Leno was right for his era, and Johnny was right for his era.
And what do we have now? We have Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert,
Yes.
and Jimmy Fallon.
I think are right for their era.
In that,
Why, look at this. Here's
new breed of stand-up comics. What's that?
these are the
Jerry is so right, though. That was such a ridiculous statement. Bill Maher.
That's hilarious, because if they wanted to actually talk about what's going on with late night talk show hosts, they'd probably have a lot to say. I bet Jared have a lot to say about that.
Oh, yeah. And Bill Maher has a lot to say in general. I don't know. He's on The View today talking about Joe Biden being a cadaver. And he was on Greg Gutfeld.
How did they reply to that? They must have been horrified.
They didn't really disagree terribly. They were just, I don't know. It was just weird. And he was on Gutfeld last night, too. And
Was he really?
Yeah.
Good for him. That's awesome.
It wasn't bad either. Dr. Drew was on, and there was a little discussion about COVID and what bullshit was going on during COVID, and I don't know. I just found it a little refreshing, actually.
Well, okay, since you brought that up, we're not going to get super political, but they're talking about how, Jerry, it's his birthday when they're doing the show. Jerry just turned 70 years old. He looks fantastic. It's unbelievable. And he's still doing all these projects and stand-up and everything else. And so they talk about how, well, Jerry, you don't seem old. This is my clip number 13. You don't seem old. And it turns into a pretty funny Trump joke.
You don't read old.
No, neither do you.
Like Biden.
Yeah.
Like reads old,
Yes.
and Trump reads crazy, but not old,
Yeah, okay.
He just
Pretty
reads
much.
differently.
Well, he's got a lot of makeup on,
A lot.
And the hair color and all that crap.
Yeah, I always say he's like Kiss. He puts on
Yeah,
the
right.
face paint and the wig, and it's always 1976.
That is fantastic. That is a great
It is
joke.
kinda true,
That is a
right?
great joke.
Yeah, Bill's turning up in so many places now that I've heard that line a couple times
Oh, have
already.
you? Okay.
Yeah, I think he used it on The View, in fact.
I haven't heard that before, but I love that. Yeah, he puts on the wig and the makeup, and it's 1976. It couldn't be more true.
Well, it is true. Joe Biden does present old. I mean, he said something incredible today. He was talking about the insurrectionists on January 6th, and he called them the erectionists.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah, he had a couple other. They had 9 corrections after he spoke to the NAACP, who he called the NAAC, and there were a couple more. I mean, really. Let's see, what else did he say? He said that he was vice president during the pandemic, and Obama sent him to Detroit.
Oh, no. Why did he think that happened?
No.
I know, that's really. I mean, that's really mixing up some years
Not even
there.
close.
Yeah, and honestly, Maher is really, and I hear other people, USA Today had an opinion piece on it today. I don't mean to get us too political here, but USA Today's opinion piece was, if Biden wants to do something for the country, he should drop out of the race.
Well, yeah, that's what they've been saying all along. Were you the ones, I was listening to your show today playing Neil Cavuto, talking to his financial advisor, and he's like, why does he keep saying there was 9% inflation when he took office? It's just not true. It was 1.5%. Why does he keep saying that? And the crazy thing to me, and no one ever points this out, so he's taking a victory for the fact that it was 9%, now it's 3%. That doesn't mean the 9% is no longer there. So now we're getting 3% on top of what was already 9%. Like this, the whole thing about inflation is that it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Okay, maybe it's not increasing at an increasing rate, but it's still increasing.
He seems to think he can talk his way around inflation, because he was also saying that, well, there may be inflation, but the additional the raise in wages is more than inflation, which is also not true. So I don't know. God, I hate politics.
Well, okay, so this actually goes right into my clip number 15, because I'm glad to see that Bill Maher, and we've been talking about Bill Maher a lot. I know you've been playing clips on your show. He's been killing it lately. I think he's one of the voices of reason out there in a lot of ways. He's still crazy in certain ways, but my clip number 15, he's finally calming down about Trump potentially becoming the president again.
I've sat at dinner with people, and they're like, oh, the world's ending. Look around you, you dumbass. We're at this fucking awesome restaurant. They're bringing you this food. It's probably this dinner's gonna cost $700. You're not even gonna fucking blink and paying the check. Shut the fuck up about how terrible things is. When I'm not gonna lose my nervous system about Trump again. If he ends the world, he's gonna end the world. I'm not gonna fucking go nuts again if he wins another term. I just can't.
I hope you have that wherewithal.
Well, what are you going to do?
I don't know. I'm trying to stay right there.
Yes.
I'm trying to stay
what, are you
right
going to
there.
get anxious like a millennial? No.
Yeah,
it's
right. Exactly. That is,
I mean, that generation, especially the Z generation.
I love Jerry because Jerry has kids in that generation, and he's just like, ugh.
Oh, man.
Very funny. But props to Bill Maher, because if you remember, the sky was falling on his show back when Trump was president, and I think he's coming around, but he still even said, he's like, I mean, it'd probably end the world. Like, why does people think that? He didn't end he had 4 years, he didn't end the world. What are you guys talking about?
Well,
he did
I know.
very well.
All these people say he's going to cancel elections, and it's like, how is he going to cancel elections?
There's no mechanism for that.
Why
That's
did
the thing. We have a constitution. There's 3 branches of government. People who say it's going to be the end of democracy, what's the mechanism for him becoming the king? It's impossible. There's 2 other branches.
No, I don't understand it. And that's actually what upsets me the most about this election is that I know so many people are going to be so upset. And I hate that many people are going to be that upset. And I feel like it's just being ginned up by people. It's not, your life is going to go on. We're going to be okay.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Well,
it's
it'll
getting,
be another
it's getting,
4 years.
it's
We're
getting
going to
ginned
hear a
up.
lot of people complaining.
Did you see Jon Stewart last night?
I did not.
Oh, I thought it was really good. It's about outrage culture, and that's what we're always being fed from every angle. Is there's so many voices, everyone's outraged about everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was a really good piece.
Oh, actually, to that
About
point,
cancel
I have a clip
culture.
on here. My clip number 4. You guys were playing on a show this week, Jerry getting heckled when he was doing his stand-up show.
Yeah.
So Jerry actually has a funny comeback
Yeah.
to a heckler, and then makes a pretty poignant point about what we're talking about right now.
Well, it's Jimmy Brogan's great heckler line that he used to do when people would start to heckle. He would always say, "I'm sorry, we don't have microphones for everyone." Remember that line?
No, I don't.
Unfortunately, that's what happened.
Right.
That's what happened. And yes, it ruined everything.
Yes, it ruined everything.
Everyone should not have a voice.
Correct. So I've been saying this for a long time. Social media is the worst thing that happened to us.
It is. No, it's a complete disaster. And I think the narcissism has gone mad. Every hot female, how can you not get a little nuts when you know you can get all these likes and all these streams and all this money, this OnlyFans? I mean, it's insane.
We're literally rewarding narcissism at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be crazy not to act like a narcissist.
No, I can't knock them for doing it. If you can be in your bikini and take a picture of yourself every day with no one else in the picture and make a lot of money doing it, then I can't knock that.
All right, I got a couple more clips that I want to play, and then we'll call it on this. But I found this show to be great. Like, I always like Bill Maher. I think he does a great show. Jerry wasn't drinking because he drove there. But usually he gets his guests loaded and high, and they just have these conversations that can sometimes be quite interesting. But this was a great episode. I like Bill Maher and I like Jerry Seinfeld. And because it's Jerry's birthday, Bill brings him gifts. So in my clip 2, Bill tells him a story about another gift that they gave to Jerry, I think for his 60th birthday. And this is just interesting to me because I don't think Jerry knows what he's talking about.
Well, I hope you were touched by what I gave you at your 60th.
I put it very prominently in my little den.
That was
the metal rabbit. I love it.
Okay.
And I look at it and I think of you, and it's a bit.
Okay.
It's too much because you really.
Well, and it's true. And let me tell the people.
Oh gosh, do we
What?
have to?
Oh,
you
really?
Gonna tell them?
You don't want to.
All right, go ahead. It's okay.
I mean, it's not. I mean,
It's not a big deal. It was very sweet. Very nice.
But it limns, I think, for an audience who you really are to us, the comedians. I had a rabbit made. And by the way, they don't make rabbits. I had to have it made because you can get a bunny on Amazon.
Right.
Bunnies are all over, but not like the rabbit in motion. And the idea was Jerry was always the rabbit among the comedians. He was the leader of the pack who we were all chasing, and it was inscribed "The Rabbit We Never Caught." What, you don't remember that?
Of course I.
You said it like, oh.
I don't think I read it. Does it say that on there?
It does.
Oh, I never read it. I'll go home right after this and read it.
I don't think it's there.
No.
I don't think it's on his mantle.
No, definitely not. He's like, oh, yeah, no, you gave me a gift, and I love it. I cherish it. I look at it every day. It's amazing. Yeah, it's got that thing on it. Oh, it does? Okay, well.
That's the problem with a lot of people giving you a lot of stuff, you know?
Oh, he's so uncomfortable with this. Like, Bill's got this whole gift thing that he wants to give him. And Jerry's going, oh, okay. You know, he doesn't want any of this stuff, obviously. And so in this next clip 3, Bill opens a gift and hands it to Jerry. And this is like a flyer from 1979 for a comedy show that they did together. This is funny.
Look at this from 1979. What is that?
Comedy Hour, Bill Maher and Company.
Well, I don't know why I'm in company. It's my first year in comedy.
Yeah.
But look at the time.
12:30 to 1:30.
12:30 to 1:30.
Well, you can't give me this.
I'm not giving it to you. There is something I do want to give you.
Oh, okay.
So he literally starts it up by saying, well, it's your birthday, I got you a gift. And he hands it to Jerry's like, well, you can't get this to me. He's like, no, I'm not. Don't worry about it. Keep that for myself.
Jerry's just not impressed with himself. He's just not.
Well, Jerry's autistic, and he's socially awkward.
I didn't know he was
think, in a lot of
autistic.
ways.
He's autistic?
Yeah, he's come out and said that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think he's socially awkward. This whole episode is kind of interesting because Bill Maher has all of these press clippings. He's kept all of this stuff from his past, and he's showing it off. And Jerry's like, yeah, I threw everything away. he goes, I thought about it. I thought, well, my kids like this. He's like, no, they don't care. They don't give a crap about any of this. So I just threw it all out.
Yeah, the older I get, I have to say, the less interesting it becomes to me. There was a time, and now it's sort of like, just get rid of it. What's the point?
Yeah.
So check this out. My clip number 8, this is part of that where he's showing off all this cool stuff, and I don't know if Jerry's all that excited about it.
Like if I want to go back and excavate and see who I was, that's one good thing I did. I made so many dumb errors, but that was pretty smart. Like I saved, like look at that Mad magazine cover.
I love that. I saw that cover.
Aren't you glad I saved this from the Supremes album?
No.
No, you don't think that?
I wasn't missing that.
You don't think that's cool?
It's okay.
It's okay.
Be honest, Jerry. Come on, come out of your show.
I love that. Jerry's a funny guest because he's not a yes and guy. He'll just come out and just be like, yeah. Here, another quick example of that. Clip number 6. Bill Maher goes on a whole diatribe about show business and podcasting.
Because, look, when we're doing a podcast, if you said to me 10 years ago even, the big thing in show business is going to be basically AM radio.
Right.
I would have said you're crazy.
Right.
And yet, you talk about too many people at the beginning of the marathon clogging the road.
Right.
There's like 4 million podcasts in America.
But no one's doing this one.
I know, but it would be like if Johnny Carson, when we watched him, had, 4 million, late night shows that people had that they, maybe only 500 watch this one and 1,000 watch this one, but his rating cumulatively, all those tiny ants sucking a little bit away would have left him not with 17 million, which he had at his height, but, something much more modest. That's the problem with so many podcasts.
No.
I love that. And maybe it's because I watch all of these stupid shows where they interview celebrities and they're all their buddies and everything is just like, guy makes a point, guy goes, that's a great point. Yeah, man, you're right. I love that Jerry's gotten to that point in his career. Maybe he's always been this guy. I don't know. Where he just goes, no, that's dumb.
Well,
we should rethink that one.
I think it's kind of interesting, but honestly, Carson made it to the top of what it was then. So, just give him that and don't say, well, he wouldn't have had it if all these podcasts. No, he got to the top of the system that it took to get there at that time. What's wrong with that?
Well, yeah, and I think that's kind of the point that Jerry is making, where he just goes, well, you can say that maybe he wouldn't have as big an audience, but you don't know that. We don't know that, and he probably would have done something different. That's the thing. These guys who are super talented and were successful in show business, I hate when people say, "Yeah, back then there were only 3 channels. Now we have cable." It's like, okay, so what? Yeah, you can still be successful. You can still be Joe Rogan in this day and age.
Technically, he should have been up against the best 2 others of the whole planet. It was just down to those 3, and he won somehow. So there's that. I don't know what the point is of trying to compare. It's just silly. It's apples and oranges, or worse.
But anyway, Bill, obviously I agree with a lot of his points on podcasting, and it's odd that this has become the thing that most people are spending their time with. I don't know about most people, but a lot of people are spending a ton of their time in entertainment with podcasts now.
Well, isn't it funny thinking back about Howard Stern, podcasting is for losers, and anytime anyone would bring up a podcast, oh, he's not making any money. He would always say that.
And Howard would say things like, no, the only way to get into broadcasting is you got to go to Hartford and start there and do afternoons. And then you get to a slightly larger market and do a couple of years there. It's like, that's just not the world anymore. It's not.
Yeah, I don't understand. Why was he so shitty about podcasting? Because he really was an asshole about it. And it's like I think he was jealous that people were coming up through that. And he was trying to somehow put them down or keep them down. And sorry, Howard, didn't work. Anyway.
Well, at the time that he was blasting podcasts, I kind of understood where he was coming from, only because I was starting WATP to talk about how many bad podcasts are out there, because anyone with a phone or a computer can start one. So yes, there are a lot of really bad podcasts.
It's true, but there were some good ones too. He just seemed to get off on the fact that he's not making any money. I mean, he would just say that automatically, reflexively. It was like, hitting his knee. And, he was wrong then. He's much more wrong now. And his audience is dwindling. I mean, the pies, the two numbers are approaching each other, and they will meet, and podcasting will pass radio easily at some point.
It hasn't already? I'd be surprised.
I don't think it has technically. I know the revenue, it's like 10 billion to, I think podcasting is like 2.5 billion, but it's really, it's closing. I mean, it's going to happen. Anyway,
I would think time spent, because there's a lot of different ways to measure this. Marketing and stuff like that, because they always like to say radio is listened to by 99% of the population on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or something like that. And there's probably still a very high number.
Yes.
But you're hopping in your car for a quick commute, or, you're typically, if it's a longer commute, you're putting on the podcast you want to listen to. So I don't think that's the case anymore.
No, there's so many more people doing that every year, and good for them. I'm glad they do. Anyway, Karl, great stuff. And what's going on? Is Hackamania this weekend?
It's actually next weekend.
Next weekend.
So hackamania.com, promo code WATP, get 20% off. And I'm happy to say, if you're not going to be in Vegas May 31st through June 2nd for this event, they are now selling streaming only packages.
Wow, really?
So you get 20% off. You can watch all the shows. We're doing the live podcast. We're doing the Creep Off. We have a comedy show on Friday night. We just added Dick Masterson and The Biggest Problem in the Universe Friday nights, doing a podcast there. So go on hackamania.com, use my promo code, and you can watch it all. I guess they have like 5 cameras, and they're really doing it legit. It's going to be pro.
How hard was that to put together?
Oh my gosh, this guy Patrick Melton from Nobody Likes Onions, who's putting this whole thing together, I told him, I said, if this all actually runs the way it's supposed to, you're the biggest genius in the whole Dabbleverse. And if it runs 50%, you're still the biggest genius in the Dabbleverse, because it's crazy what he's been able to pull off, or what he's pulling off for this event. It's going to be fantastic.
It seems like a lot of work. But anyway, you guys will have a great time. And meanwhile, who are these socials on Thursday, and who are these podcasts on Wednesday? And you just keep adding more and more shows. So I know people know where to find you.
Let me just plug real quick, Drew. I just, if you go on our Patreon, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you get these bonus episodes every month. And we just started a brand new series on our bonus shows. It's called Living in the Past with Stuttering John.
I watched the first one Sunday. Yeah, it's great.
Isn't it fascinating? So we went back and we found a Stuttering John podcast episode from April of 2018 when he first started podcasting. And the way he talks is completely different. You can't even recognize the guy from what he's become 8 years later.
How so? Like, how, just as an example?
He just sounds much, much younger.
Oh, really?
Really does.
More sober, maybe?
Definitely, yeah.
Coherent. He actually strings some thoughts together. But some things never change. We listened to the first episode that's available of his show, and he spends the first 38 minutes calling out Anthony Cumia and Artie Lang for making fun of his movie.
Oh, and it's funny because he says so many times, I don't care, if he apologizes to me, we're good. I love Artie. And then like he slowly gets madder and madder. Like, if I see him, I'll punch him in the fucking face.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Like,
he wants to fight them both. And the other funny thing that he does, because he can't come up with original comedy or roast style jokes, so he just goes on a subreddit and finds people talking trash about the Artie and Anthony show at that time.
Yeah.
And just reads every individual post in this thread on Reddit from nobodies. This is not content, John. Anyone can read these.
It didn't seem like there were that many posts either, because he read one twice.
Yeah, he goes, there's billions of them.
He was just as unprepared then. But I was amazed by the way he was prepared enough this time, or last week anyway, to give to Chris's daughter's GoFundMe live on his show. God. He's got no time outside the show, but he was able to squeeze in that little time within the show to give to a GoFundMe.
Was that incredible? Because he even said on the show, and we broke this all down. You can find it on our YouTube channel. This thing that I discovered is called performative empathy.
Yeah.
And this is something that a narcissist does. John is doing this performative empathy where he wants to show you what a great guy he is. Now, he said on his show that he talked to his friend that morning and already decided he was going to donate $50 to this, but couldn't do it until he was live on his show to show everyone they donated $50. And then, as you mentioned, Drew, gets all teary-eyed.
Oh,
that was to see these young people suffer. It's so sad.
That was so fake. What did he say? What made him cry? Was he saying, "Oh, just thinking about kids"? Was he thinking about his own kids or something like that? Or what was that? That was bizarre.
It was so bizarre. And then he immediately, and this is what we broke down on our video, the reason why narcissists do this is to weaponize it. So you want to show how compassionate you are and how much empathy you have. And then he sees how much money I donated, and John donated half of the amount that I donated. And he immediately turned that into, what an asshole Karl is. He only gave this much money. I gave almost that much money, and I don't even know this prick. It's crazy. I pulled the clip. I didn't even edit it because it goes from crying to calling me an asshole within 30 seconds.
Oh, it was really, really bizarre. By the way, his show a couple days ago, I think it took him 20 minutes to try to send himself some clips. I mean, this is during the show, and then he didn't have the clips.
And the crazy part is that he says he's the best broadcaster. Like, even in that episode that we just played that you saw of the Living in the Past with Stuttering John, he claims he's a better broadcaster than Anthony Cumia or Artie Lang. Both guys made millions and millions of dollars on the radio.
No, that was mind-blowing. I couldn't believe he could even say that. He is just, I mean, that's why people still are listening to these shows, and the Dabbleverse gets bigger and bigger and bigger because it never ends with him. Anyway,
I know I'm overstaying my welcome.
No, it's okay.
I just got to know that Magic Bag is confirmed.
Oh, what?
Save the date, October 25th.
Woo!
We're back, baby.
Yes, October 25th. That's great. We'll be just within the nice fall weather and big football weekend and say Friday night for Who Are These Podcasts at the Magic Bag. That's great news, Karl.
Tigers will be in the series. We'll go down to catch one of those games. It's going to be great.
Hell yeah.
The day before Michigan State. There you go.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
All right.
Yeah. Perfect.
I thought you would have waited till the Bills are coming because the Bills are coming to town.
That's right.
Yes, December 15th. I might come to Detroit for that, too.
There you go.
Yeah, see how the season rolls out. I think the Bills are going to be good, but who knows? I see a lot of doubters out there.
I'm one of those doubters. I think it's going to be a down year for the Bills, but they'll be on the upswing again soon.
All right, Karl, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Who Are These Podcasts from Karl, and October 25th for my next retirement from public life.